and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about the 22 books I hope to read in 2022. It's that time of the year when we start planning our reading for next year already. This time I wanted to share what books I hope I will read during the next year. I feel like that with this list it's quite a good opportunity for you to start thinking about what goals you might have for next year, what things you want to achieve, if you want to continue with any series. Today I will share 22 books with you, and I have sort of divided those 22 books into 4 different categories. One of my main goals though for next year will be to try and halve my physical TBR. So all of the books I'll be talking about today are off my shelves. They are on my physical TBR. So if I can at least read these 22, I'm well on my way to actually reach that goal. I did a count of my physical TBR and I'm getting closer to 100 books. I think I'm at 95, which is insane and crazy. I still need to read these books and 30 more in order to achieve my goal of cutting my physical TBR in half at some point throughout next year. This is at least a good start. So we have 4 categories. First is basically books I didn't get to in 2020. So books I had planned to read for either a challenge or a TBR or something, and I just simply never got to. Or I had plans on getting to that book throughout the year, but it never happened. We also have firsts in fantasy series. So I have a lot of firsts in different adult fantasy series that I would love to get to because I do want to get into the series. But for some reason I have not picked up any of these books, and I feel like it's time that I do that and actually catch up with these fantasy series I would love to read. We then also have just a general category of me catching up on some reading, or me catching up on an author I would love to read more by, or me catching up with a series I'm currently reading, something like that. And then 4th category is basically my currently reading that I wish to no longer be currently reading next year by actually finishing those books. So those are the categories we have, so let's just go through them. So let's start with looking at the books I did not get to in 2020. Looking at these books now, I feel like I've already done some bad choices because these are thick and heavy books, not only this category, but all of them. So here's that pile. Okay, let's talk through it. So a subcategory of this category is my Goodreads challenge books. As you might know, I am trying to challenge myself to read all of the winners from the Goodreads Choice Awards, but also some of the nominees in order to basically make my own Goodreads Choice Awards and pick a winner. Oh, I've been saying 2020, I mean 2021. This is the category of books I did not get to in 2021. I have this challenge where I try to read books from the Goodreads Choice Awards, either the winners and the nominees, in order to make my own Choice Awards and pick a winner. And these are books I thought and wanted to get to this year, but for some reason just didn't. First we have My Dark Vanessa. I actually bought this last year, I think, and it was one of the nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards, I think in both the fiction category and the debut novel category. I'm super excited about this one. I know it will be a difficult read, but it's so intriguing. I've heard amazing things about this book and I just really want to get to it. So this is definitely one of my main priorities for next year. We also have From Blood and Ash. This was the winner in the romance category last year, I think. I've been wanting to read this for so long. I was even close to planning a read-along for this series with some friends. But the thing is that this book is so difficult to get a hold of, and because it's a very chunky book, it's over 600 pages, I did not want to buy it as an ebook. So I wanted it physically, but there was basically no way for me to get a hold of it. It was out everywhere or it was super expensive. So that's basically why I didn't get to it this year. But now I do have it, so now I can hopefully read it next year. We also have Percy Jackson and the Lightning Bolt. The winner from Goodreads Choice Awards of 2020 was one of the books in this Percy Jackson series, or the Rick Riordan books or something. I don't know how it works because I've never read them. But my friend borrowed this book to me so that I could actually try and read the Percy Jackson books. This will be me entering into the world of reading Percy Jackson, and then we'll see if I want to continue with it or not. This was sort of my substitute, because that book that won is book 15 in a series or something. And in order for me to not need to read 14 or 15 books, this was a substitute, that if I could read this one, that would be enough. Since I do have this still, I might as well read it. And then the final book from amongst my Goodreads books is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This one is massive. I've also had this for over a year, I think. So I have had this for a while. I just never got into it. I am actually quite excited. I've heard some interesting things about it, and even though I'm not the biggest fan of the ACOTAR series, I do think that this could be a bit different. I'm fairly certain that this won the fantasy category in the Goodreads Choice Awards last year, So it would be good if I got to this one as well, because I didn't in 2021. Another book I had hoped to get to in 2021, but never really did, is War and Peace by Lewis Tolstoy. You're wondering why I never read it? Because it's massive. No, I actually started reading this one in September, I think. August or September, I don't quite remember. But I think I read like two first chapters or something. I'm on page 26, so that really does not make any difference at all, considering that this book is over 1,300 pages. But still, I started it, and from what I read so far in those first 25 or 26 pages, I'm actually enjoying the book. But then I got too busy during the autumn, and I never got a chance to return to this one. And the thing with this book was that it was for a challenge, my own challenge basically, where I wanted to read the longest book on my TBR, on my want to read list. And at the time, the longest book on my want to read was War and Peace because of its 1,300 pages. The point was for me to read this book last year. I never got to it, but like, since I now have it, and since I have even like prepared it, I read up about it, like I was Googling like the best way to read War and Peace. What should I annotate? What should I remember? What should I, like, how should I approach this in the best possible way? I've been asking that to people. I've been looking things up. So, like, I'm serious about reading this one. So I'm sure as hell gonna do it in 2022. I'm sorry if I'm confusing the years, by the way. Like, it's too much to keep track of all the years. I'm sure as hell I'm gonna get to this book. I've already started it. I just need to finish it. Another chunky book that I've started a couple of times, actually, is The Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. I think I've started to read the Iliad 2 times. Both times I reached like page 50 or 60. I have started to read it, but I've never gotten further. In this one, I'm actually considering this to be 2 different books. The Iliad and the Odyssey. It's the way I've done it before in my TBRs. I have considered them as 2 separate books, although they are in this bind-up. So I would love to get to both, because I feel like I've given it a go 2 years in a row. Like, I read 50 pages in 2020, I read 50 pages in 2021. Might as well read the entire 500 pages, 700 pages in 2022. This is another chunky one I want to get to. Sorry if I'm not talking that much about each book and what they are about, but I'm talking about 22 books here. Next one that I had hoped to get to in 2021, and that I feel like I should get to rather sooner than later, is Stmivany. This is the Czech translation of Twilight. If you don't know, I have some Czech heritage in me. My family on my mom's side is from Czech Republic. The reason I got this book, I got it for Christmas last year because I wanted to read a book I knew in Czech. Twilight is a book I have read multiple times. I basically know every word inside out, I feel like. I know that book back to back. And I was studying Czech during the autumn of 2020, I think. And I thought that, hey, a good idea for me to continue to learn the language would be to actually read a book I know. It kind of reads how you pronounce it, which I appreciate. But the thing is, I never picked it up, and I have not studied any Czech in 2021. So I feel like I'm just forgetting everything I learned 1 year ago. That's why I feel like I should get to this rather sooner than later. Because if I wait any longer, I will just forget everything, and I will need to start from square one, basically. So I do think this will be a difficult read for me. I have never read Czech really in any way. I haven't even read like children's book in Czech. But I feel like if I give it time, if I approach this as some sort of schoolwork, and I annotate a lot, and I keep perhaps a notepad on the side where I can write down notes and words and glossary and all of that, perhaps I might be able to get through this book. So those are 8 books that I didn't get to in 2021, but hopefully will get to in 2022. Let's continue with the next stack. Here's the next stack. You might not have missed that I have a new favorite author. I got a new favorite author in 2021, and I have made it my mission to read all of their books. That author is none other than Fredrik Backman. He's the one who wrote Anxious People, he wrote Beer Town, also A Man Called Ove. I have read those 3 books, and I've also read the sequels to Beer Town. But there are a few more books that he has written and I have not read yet. So hopefully I will get to them in 2022, because I have a goal of reading all of his works. First, we have My Grandmother Says Hi and That She's Sorry, or something along those lines. I don't know the English title of this one, I'm sorry. I have the Swedish edition, obviously. No clue what it is about, but it's another Fredrik Backman. We also have Britt-Marie Was Here, and we also have and every morning the way home got longer and longer. This is a really short one, so perhaps I can squeeze it in even like a readathon or something. I'm on my 4th Fredrik Backman book of the year, so I feel confident that I can read those 3 next year. I still have 2 more books I need to get of his, I think. These are the ones I own at the moment, so those are the ones I'm including in this list. Another sequel to one of my favorites is Magic of Wind and Mists. Now, you've heard me talk a lot about Magic of Blood and Sea, which is the Assassin's Curse and the Pirate's Wish bind-up that I love and adore, and I even made like a video about it, and I'm so happy I read it. And this is sort of like a sequel, or it's a story that takes place in the same universe but with different characters. I know nothing about it. I barely knew it existed before this year, even though I've loved Assassin's Curse for like 6 or 7 years. I feel like I should read this one. And then we have a series I need to catch up on or get on track with, and that is the King of Scars duology. In 2021, I actually read the entire Shadow and Bone trilogy. I had never read those books before. I did read the Six of Crows duology in 2020, and last year I got to Shadow and Bone because I wanted to read them before the TV series was released. I was perhaps not the biggest fan of that trilogy, but I ended up loving Nikolai in Siege and Storm. He's my favorite character from that trilogy. I had heard about King of Scars, but I wasn't really that interested. But then I found out that King of Scars is the Nikolai spin-off. So these books actually follow my favorite character from the Shadow and Bone series. And that made me so much more inclined to buy these books and actually read them. I would love to get to them next year because I feel like the Shadow and Bone trilogy is still sort of fresh in my mind. Hopefully I can get to them next year, or that's the plan. I'm gonna get to them. So those are another 6 books that I wish to read next year. Next we have various firsts in adult fantasies. So first we have The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This has been a very popular book on BookTube throughout the last couple of years, I feel like. I know that there's been read-alongs dedicated to this series. I know that this is a very long series as well, with a lot of like trilogies in the universe. I feel like I would love this series and that I would love this book. I want to get to it now. Like, I'm done waiting. I need to get to these first books in different fantasies. We also have The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I've had this book for I think 2 years now or something like that. Like, I bought this in 2020 when I started with BookTube. I've kind of started reading it, but not really. I think I read the first 2 chapters. I don't remember much from that, so I do think I will just reread it from the beginning once I get to it. This is one of my 5-star predictions. I feel like I would love this book, but I'm just scared that perhaps I won't. I don't know, but I haven't gotten to it, and this is another push for me to just get to these freaking books. We then have a very popular book as of recently, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I'm super excited about this one, and I actually plan on participating in the Green Bone Saga read-along that will start in January that I think Mel is hosting. So I do plan on reading the entire series by the start of next year, actually. I've only heard amazing things about this book, and in particular about this series. I heard that the 2nd and 3rd books are incredible, and I want to experience that. I'm basically looking for the feelings and the experience I had when I read The Poppy War, and I have a feeling that these books might be able to give me that. And then final first book in a series is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I had planned on reading this one in 2021 because I wanted to join a Sanderson read-along, and I sort of did. I read Elantris, and that was about it. So I never got to Mistborn. I know that he has written so many books as well, and I would just love to dive deep into the fantasy realm and read all of the long-ass series. Like, that's what I want. I want to read Eye of the World and all the 14 books. I want to read all of the Sanderson books. I want to read the 19 Robin Hobb, or how many there is. Like, I want to get into these major series. I want to have an entire shelf of adult fantasies. I feel like I would love that, and I would so vibe with that. That's what I want to do. Now we're getting to my currently reading. I don't know even how to describe this. 3 of these books are on my currently reading, and the 4th one is just probably the oldest book on my TBR since I got back into reading books. First we have The Book Thief. I borrowed this one from my friend over a year ago. I started reading it during the summer, and I got 100 pages into it. I did enjoy it, But for some reason, I just picked up something else and never got back to this one. So I need to finish this one in 2022 so that I can return it to my friend. Another currently reading is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I bought this last year and started reading it last year, and I also got like 100 pages into it. Yep, 100 pages. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I find this one to be quite confusing. I don't really like the characters at the moment, but I know so many people love this book, and I was honestly super excited about it. I'm not as excited about it anymore. I don't think it will be a favorite book of mine. I think it might be just like a 3-star, but I still want to finish it. I bought it, I've had it on my shelf for this long. I should just finish it so I can say I've read it and then sell the book. So 2022, here we go. The book I've had on my currently reading for probably the longest is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. This was one of the books I got 2 or 3 years ago when I was like, yes, I'm gonna get back into reading and I want to be smart, I want to read non-fiction, I want to learn. So I bought Sapiens, and to be honest, I really like it. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I think I read a third of it. I have definitely found it like insightful. I have really enjoyed it. But then I started reading fiction. And I do feel like perhaps I want to reread it and annotate it, because I'm learning so much from this book, so I might want to do that. I'm already a third through it, so I'm very undecided on that part. But back then when I started reading this book, I didn't annotate my books. But I might want to do it now. I'm undecided. What do you think? Do you think I should reread it from the beginning and annotate, or just continue from where I was? I need to finish it at some point, because I've been reading it for 2 or 3 years now. And then the final book. This is not a currently reading, but as I said, I think it's the oldest book on my physical TBR since I got back into reading and actually started buying books again. And that is Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. This is another non-fiction. I feel like I could really enjoy this. I feel like I could learn a lot from it and utilize it in both my work and also my everyday, because I do work a bit with computers and IT, and like I have an interest in AI. I've had it on a couple of TBRs throughout the years. I never got into it. It's a shame that it's been so long on my shelves and that I have been so excited about it, but that I still have not read it. And those are the 22 books I hope to get to in 2022. Or not hope, I plan on. I will get to those books. I'm not saying that this is the most realistic stack. I'm not saying that it will be easy reading all of these books. Sure, like the Fredrik Backman, I'm certain I can get through quite quickly. But then we have a book in a third language that I barely understand. Even though it's a book I read multiple times, it's still in a language that I'm not that comfortable with, so that will be a struggle. We have this one. It will be my third attempt reading this book. That's like saying enough, I feel like. We have this thing that I must be stupid for even attempting. Honestly, like, I am excited about it. I got such a good first impression from it. And yeah, I would just love to be able to say that I read War and Peace. I will read this one. I might need to set up some sort of schedule of like reading 50 pages a day, or make sure I read 150 pages a month or something. I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna freaking read this in 2022. This one is a thick one. This is another thick one. A lot of adult fantasies that might be a bit complicated. More fantasies. And then some random non-fic, because why not? I definitely have my reading cut out for me in 2022. I can never complain that I don't have anything to read, at least. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm currently working on all of my like end of the year or start of the year content, and I'm so excited about it. So there's actually a chance that there might be 3 videos a week for a few weeks, because I just have so much content I would love to make, so many books I would love to talk about. So we might have 3 videos a week for almost a month, I think. We'll see if I can make that happen. So I hope you're excited about that. I have so much exciting content coming as well. Also, please subscribe if you would like, because I'm this close at the moment to 500 subscribers, which is insane. Like, it's such a tease going on my subscriber count. I've been up at 499 and then gone down to 495 and then 497, 495. So like, I'm this close. So if you would love to help me out or just support me, please subscribe. I never ask in my videos for anyone to subscribe, but like, this has been teasing me for weeks. It would be the loveliest of like Christmas gifts and like end of year gifts and all of that. I'm gonna stop blabbering. Please let me know what are some of your priority reads for 2022. I would love to discuss that with you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!
You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before.
I might need to double check. Are you okay? Are you all right?